So I don't know if you guys know who this is, but this is Susan Greening Davis, and I just kind of looked up. Today's a Monday, and I'm in the shop working and fixing to get ready to work, as we'd say down south. And somebody picks on the door, and I noticed the hair through the window, and I was like, "Gosh, that looks like Susan." And so sure enough, it's Susan, and she had been sending me emails and calling me, and I've been busy, so I missed some of that. So she was in Nashville, Tennessee, and decided to stop by and visit us here in Asheville, North Carolina. So, well, of course, when she came, I said, "Hey, you want to do a floss tube?" She was like, I don't know." And so here we are.
This is not my strong point, but it's really exciting because I decided we're driving over, and she's always working Monday. Oh, yeah, shop owner's always in their store. And I said, if she's there, we're pounding on the door. If she's not, we had a really gorgeous drive through her beautiful mountains.
It is pretty, and that drive coming over from Nashville is gorgeous. You come through some really pretty stuff over there. So, welcome. I'm glad you came by.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I can't stand it.
I'm glad you agreed to do a little floss tube.
Yeah, this is not, I'm new to this all, so you just have to put up with what you get.
All right. So, we wanted to, one of the things that came up in the last couple weeks, I've seen some additional chatter on needles and what size needles should be used and so on and so forth, and heard some people talking about it. And the best expert that I personally know of on needles is Susan.
Thank you.
And I guess before we go into that talk, I'll give a little bit of background that'll help you understand why. So Susan used to own 2 big shops in Michigan and ran those for a long time. It was interesting because sometimes when families go through possessions of other family members who've passed away or whatever, they find a shop to bring all the things to. And there was one lady, they brought me, it was like 8 or 10 boxes of stuff. It was prolific. And I'm sorting through there and throwing away all the copies of things, because if it's a photograph copy, I can't use it for anything, and it was her right to make those copies for her own use, but we didn't want to have those in the shop. And I came across newsletters from Susan's old shops, and I just thought it was the neatest thing ever. I actually saved them. I called her and I said, "Hey, you won't believe what I found," because I didn't have any. I met Susan after all that, and so it was like a little treasure for me to find that. And this lady has been living here, but she had these newsletters from your shops in Michigan.
It was a surprise. This was back before social media. Fax was the big thing. We didn't even know what fax was, but we learned, obviously. We mailed 15,000 newsletters, and we did them all. They were printed, but we did all the addressing by hand.
That's shocking.
It was just unbelievable. And we did mail them all over the world. And that she was right here when Kim said that, I thought, shoot, I don't even have copies of them. So it was pretty fun.
It was neat. So Susan's been around a long time, doing a lot of good things for needlework. And so after you own the shops, you went into teaching full time, and you do a lot of travel teaching. So she teaches all over the U.S., but she also does international trips. And she really focuses on the history, and she gets us into a lot of places. You guys have heard me say in different forums that I've gotten to see a lot of neat things. A lot of those things. I did a lot of traveling for my day job, but I did a lot of needlework traveling with Susan. So I've just been really privileged to get to see the Fellers collection twice, the Fitzwilliam, just a lot of really cool stuff, and some things that aren't even open anymore. Like we went to the Sella Museum after it technically had closed.
I begged, and that day everybody on the bus, honestly, I think really hated me because it was a long ride. I know, everybody did. And I just kept praying they would stick to the fact of opening it for us, because I'd been begging them for 3 months. And we got there, and I must admit, after everyone had a break, it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Because now it's all locked up again.
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yeah.
So that's been really neat. So you've been doing that for...
I've been doing that for 15 years.
Yeah, a long time. And altogether in the business, like over 40 years, I think.
45. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm not a baby. You can tell.
Yeah, I caught her without any makeup.
I'm not good on that anyway.
But, so just a really great resource. And I know you wrote kind of like a blog and put it online for folks. And tell us a little bit about needles and what should be used and when it should be used, just kind of a high level, if you don't mind. 'Cause a lot of people struggle with that.
Well, actually, one of the best things was with Kim, and we did it with Gary, and when Christine was with the Fiber Talk, and it raised a lot of ruckus because I talked about the fact that you really should use a needle probably bigger than most of you are used to using, because the needle needs to glide through the fabric and open it up a little bit, and then it doesn't crimp the thread when you move your needle down and down. So that's the really thing to remember. Truthfully, 22 Petite is one of my favorite needles. Now with the finer counts that we're doing for these beautiful samplers, I have moved down to a 24, and for back stitching a 26. I don't use a 28 unless I'm beading.
Yeah, and that's really unusual, because I know a lot of you out there are like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of people that come in here that stitch samplers won't touch anything that's bigger than a 28.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't really understand the nomenclature behind needles, the bigger the number, the smaller the needle, the smaller the eye. So a 22 is actually bigger than a 24, which is bigger than a 26, which is bigger than a 28.
Exactly.
And so the shaft itself decreases in size usually along with the size of the eye as the numbers get bigger. So, you know, it's usually an educational thing. And a lot of people, I mean, you know, if you love using a 28 and you get great results with it, then that's fine.
Yep.
But don't feel pressure to use a small needle to blend in, to look good with your buddies.
Exactly.
You know, because the needle's job is to open a little hole in the fabric so that the thread can pass through there without fraying the thread. You know, either by dragging it through the fabric unnecessarily, or, you know, using an eye that's too small for that thread.
My
Having it
concern
fray.
is now, I love the 103 that a lot of you are using on your silks, or using on your samplers, sorry, but it's a single strand. And it also has a slight little twist to it. And surprisingly enough, if you use a fine needle, even on a fine count linen, you'll lose that after a while, and you don't always see it till you start a new thread. And it's kind of like pearl cotton, same thing. All of a sudden you start a new thread and your shine is gone, or a little bit of your twist. So that's why I say I don't use a 28, I use a 26, even on my 40 counts, especially with that silk. They love the bigger needle, they really do. And
Yeah,
you're
silk
right.
silk is a delicate fiber. You know, it's strong, but it's delicate too. It'll fray if you manhandle it, for lack of a better word.
Exactly. That's perfect
So you want to
answer.
be gentle with your silk if you can, and that means using the right size needle. But again, you know, each to their own. And if you get great results with it, use it.
Stick with it.
If you notice that you're not really happy with the way it looks at the end of it, think about that. Think about changing the size of the needle.
The other thing I learned is sometimes I'm stitching along, and if I look under a magnifier, and I haven't been using one, that's when I can see, oh jeepers, I should have probably used a bigger needle. Because it looks really good when I'm working it in my hand or on my frame or whatever, but then when I go to the magnifier, because I use one most of the time, but not all the time, it's like, you know, it's not laying perfectly smooth like I want it to lay.
Yeah.
Kim has great needles in the shop. I mean, they're the Bowen, Peacemakers, Tulip, they're all excellent needles. And I think it's important that you understand you really need a good needle. Don't use cheap needles.
Yeah. And if they lose their tarnish, that shiny stuff,
They should be gone.
yeah, don't use them anymore, because that means that they're just rubbing on the fabric, and you can kind of feel it in your hand. They feel a little rough. And I know people have needles, it's their favorite needle, that they love it, they love it. Keep it, you don't have to throw it away. Put it in a
That's right.
bottle or a jar somewhere and look at it and love on it, but don't use it.
That's right. That's a good one. I like
Yeah.
Put it in a little piece of stitching and say, you lived with
You
me
know,
and
I
made
have
me
done
happy.
that.
Yeah.
I have done that. I have made little, you know, small bags and stuff, and taken a needle and put through there and left a little tail on it, and it permanently lives in that little piece now, which is really,
That's
really
good.
neat and pretty.
Good memory.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So thank you for that.
you're welcome.
Yeah, and then so we talked a little bit about the needlework retreats and you know, the places that you've taken people to. What's your favorite one?
Oh, I love the Netherlands.
Yeah.
And yet I could tell you I love Lorraine Moots in Germany.
She's a fabulous person.
She's a character.
Hey, Lorraine, if you see it, we love
I'm
you.
going to tell you.
Yeah.
Martin Nex is a character from Amsterdam. Everywhere you go, I mean, we're characters, the people in this industry, and the ones that have the passion for keeping the history alive.
Right.
And most of them are actually getting elderly, which is really the thing. That's why we try to keep it alive.
Yeah, you bet.
And the shop, she works just as hard at it as I know I try to do too. It's always interesting when somebody doesn't know and they go, well, why do you want to know about that old stuff? Well, that old stuff's the reason we're here.
Yeah.
And it all starts tying together the more you learn. And I will say, Nicole, I'm giving you a really good thing. You have brought the industry something that has been great and really great for the shop owners. I mean, when I was a shop owner, we didn't have anything that was so exciting and so educational.
Nicola Parkman. Is that
I
who you're
said it
talking about?
wrong,
Yeah.
probably.
No,
yes.
I just want to make sure that I know
no,
what you're
that's
talking
what I
about,
mean. I mean, it's
she
just
does
amazing.
so much history. She does so much research with the samplers, and the booklets are great. But
that's what I love.
yeah,
So
she puts. I know it takes a lot of time to do that, to find the history on the girls, and
I love it because we all know we can't stitch them all. Maybe some of you can, but most of us
but
can't.
hope springs eternal.
Well, but the books, just the books. It's like I want the book.
Yeah,
the history and the beauty.
And it's nice when the books are just that high quality.
Yeah.
So, and they've got that extra bit of information in there that makes it worth it to just sit down and read. There aren't a lot like that. I mean, you did a great book, Sybil. Are there still any of those around?
I still have a few copies of a Journey with Sybil, and honestly, she was probably one of the first books like that followed someone's life. Hers was after a tragedy of being orphaned, and that's why I'm excited too with what she's doing, because she's taking it beyond. Blackbird, I give them credit. They have done some of it too. Needlework Press has done some of it too. And
they all do beautiful charts. You talk about pretty charts. I mean, they set the bar high.
You just want to own them because they're magnificent.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah.
We need to support everybody like that because this is a little industry, and most of these things are published once.
Yeah.
And once in a while a second time, but not very often. And to own them, I was with an arm like this for months.
Yeah.
And I sat, couldn't stitch, and I looked at my books. And it was very, very helpful for my mental health. So thank you, ladies.
Yeah. And so you've got a class coming up, and you're doing so. A lot of people who used to go to Williamsburg know that the Annie's Williamsburg retreat came to an end last year, was the last time. And some new folks picked it up, and so there's a continuing retreat this year. This year is the first year for the new folks doing it, and so you've got a class there?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
It's a much different setup. You sign up for a registration fee, and you get meals included, and you get to shop at the boutique, whereas in the past, because I actually had participated, you pay the bulk amount, and you picked your class, and that was the only way you could get in. That's not true this year. I have a lecture on only my darning samplers, which I will have the original ones there, which when I do sampler lectures, I bring my babies. It's kind of what Lorraine taught me to call them. And then I have a class Saturday night, which is going to be interesting. It's going to be a pajama party, too. But it's Mary Oldfield, and she was 10 years old in 1806, born in the UK, England, and her folks brought her to America, to Charleston, because they were in the textile industry. And that was the time when there was a very big kerfuffle with the unions and the textile industry, and it was very violent. And so he brought his family over because Charleston is so well known for textiles and especially their indigo. And she used a lot of blue. So anyway, that's my project for Saturday night. And this is unusual. I don't do this a lot, but there is an additional finishing kit if you wanted to make her into a very special hussif. And I just finished her, no pictures or anything. So I'm excited about it. Williamsburg needed to be refurbished, and Christmas in Williamsburg is really special.
It's beautiful. Yeah, I went 2 years ago in 2016. I went with some stitching buddies. One of them I met on a season trip, Cheryl, from Maine.
Oh, cool,
and then Carol Brewer, who's a great friend of mine from Raleigh, was there with me, so that was pretty fun. And, Williamsburg also has a fabulous shop, Hosterol. Those ladies have been in business for a while, and they are just, they're the sweetest, kindest people ever.
They are gems.
But the shop itself is fantastic. So if you're up that way, definitely hit their shop. And then Dine to Stitch is not very far away.
No, I know, really. It's interesting to have two so close to each other, because we don't have that anymore, hardly anywhere.
Yeah,
So.
I love Dine to Stitch. So
Yeah, you went there once. I haven't been there for a retreat. I know.
love them.
Good job.
Yeah, so you've got that up there, and then Susan's actually taught here a number of times, a whole bunch of times. She was the first teacher to teach here. It was our grand opening, and we had lots of friends here, new and old friends, but lots of good friends.
Yep.
And she's come back every year, so she was just here this year in June, late June? Yeah, late June.
Yes.
And next year we just set the dates for that. So we're looking at 2 different classes in August, because the class that she taught here this year was in very high demand, and we had a hard cutoff at 30 people, which we will again next year. But it was a beautiful sampler book. Susan's kind of revamped the materials in the sampler book a little bit so that we can use some of the beautiful linen from Legacy Linen.
Exactly. Yes.
Really excited about that because she knows that we love them here and we sell a lot of their fabric. So she has remade the project using their linen and then also the Versois.
Yes.
silks.
103.
Yeah, so going to be just really, really a great class. So. Second class that she'll teach here next year, and that class will be August 21st and 22nd, so that's a Friday and Saturday, and it will do a Friday afternoon, a late start, so you can have some time in the morning to just come visit us and hang out. Yeah, eat some stuff at the bakery next door. And then the weekend before that, we're doing a new class, and I'll let you tell us a little bit about that one.
It's brand new, created for Sassy Jacks, so I'm very excited to debut it here, which I did the accordion book too, which was saved special. We're working on a 35, again, linen from Legacy, because I do love their linens, and I'm so happy Kim has it in her shop. And we are working with the 103 silk, we're working with over-dyed silk, and we're working also with an over-dyed pearl cotton.
Oh, nice.
And I'm also in the midst of deciding how we're going to do it, because I'm going to offer some color options.
Okay.
So we'll need to know ahead of time so I can bring what you
Okay,
want.
you can do that.
I'm working on 4 or 5 different color options. There are almost all the models are complete. And then the other part of the class, because this is going to be a chatelaine, like no chatelaine you've ever seen before.
Tell us what a chatelaine is. There might be some people who don't know what a chatelaine
Thank
is.
you.
Yeah.
Chatelaine is very important in history. Usually the head of the house, sometimes it would be the head housekeeper, or if the woman that was the wife of the man that owned the manor always had a chatelaine. They would be around their neck, or they would be around their skirts, hidden in pockets.
Yep.
They would have the most important things, which were the key, if there was a key to the home, a pair of scissors, if they had scissors, and the needle.
Okay.
Very most important things. So we're going to be doing our own personal chatelaines, and then a complement to it is a really gorgeous pincushion. I'm very excited.
Good.
That has a pouch that attaches to it, so that can be a complete set for you to use.
Okay, that sounds great.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Sounds beautiful.
You know, I've designed and taught for a long time, especially the last 20-some years. The project for the accordion book is a legacy.
And that's the one you did this year, and then
Yes.
we'll offer a what do they call that when it comes back the second year? I forget what it is, but anyway,
don't
it'll
know.
come back again next
Repeat
year.
performance.
Yeah. So that one is the accordion book.
And it will be your legacy. Honestly, I have encouraged
It is
people
beautiful. It's
that
gorgeous.
if you don't have someone that you can give it to, it needs to go to a library or a historical society. 45 years of studying vintage samplers all over the world, all made up. None of it is a repo. Then the first class, for those of you that have studied with me a lot, which it's open to everybody, you haven't done this with me before. And we have lots of interesting stitches and things that I've learned in Europe, which I am excited to share. So that
Great.
gives you a little
Yeah. So you can come to both classes. You can come to one class. They're separate sign-ups. We are going to launch a new email address for our class sign-ups, just so that stuff can get,
that's good.
to a spot where I can find
That's
it
really
easy.
smart. Thank you.
Yeah, I learned that the hard way.
I never learned that.
So,
Wow.
yeah, so by the time this video gets aired, I will put a note at the bottom of the video telling you where you can go to sign up for the classes. and they'll both be open for registration for next year in August. So just keep the dates of the, let's see, August 14th and 15th and 17th, 21st and 22nd of 2020 available for these classes.
And both of them will be limited in size.
Yeah,
For
you have
me
to cut
to
'em off
do
at 30.
what I do, I have to cut it off.
Right.
You know, I felt so bad last year because Kim could have had more students, and her
Yeah.
classroom is the best classroom I've ever
thank you.
taught in. I mean that, it is.
I appreciate that.
But I couldn't get the supplies, and I
Right.
couldn't do justice to my gals. So
Yeah, some classes when they're really, really hands-on, sometimes they just need to be a smaller.
That's the way
group.
I
We try to.
teach.
We think about that with everything that we schedule. There's a few that we go kind of big on, and then there are others where we intentionally cap them at a certain number, just because the instructor needs to spend some time with the students, and it works out better if it's a limited number. So we know you'll understand that, and clearly, if it's a great class and some people don't get in, maybe we'll do it again next year.
you have to let Kim know.
There's always that, but. All right, well, I think that's all we had
Oh my
for today,
gosh.
so sorry
Thank
for pouncing
you.
on you.
No,
but yeah.
I didn't plan on it, but I'm so glad you're here. This has
Yeah.
been a really great visit, honestly. And I just want to say this: you have to come to Sassy Jacks. The shop. I mean, it's a good thing I don't live close. I would probably want to live here, and it's really, really the nicest shop I've been in
thank you.
forever. Thank
Thanks,
you.
I appreciate that.
You
yeah.
worked hard to get here, girl.
We do, yeah, we do. We work hard every day still to stay here, but it's all fun. It's all fun. So we will see you online. Have a great rest of your week or weekend, and thanks for watching. And if you haven't subscribed to us, we would love it if you subscribe.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.